In 4 years, I've achieved this. I became a person who literally enjoys learning languages. I had a good body. I almost have 22 months of learning Japanese in September. I learned English. I went from 8 hours of watching TikTok daily. Literally, this is true. You can imagine that this person right here watches TikTok for 8 hours daily, right? To the person who literally enjoys language learning, which you can imagine that this person enjoys language learning. And all of this because of learning languages. And so I want you to get to that point. And the topic of the topic of this video is how I don't get emotionally attached to immersion content. And I think that this is a very important topic because I mean you're getting when you get emotional attached to a type of anime, you will notice that, bro, it becomes so difficult to watch the next piece of immersion, and this basically makes your study way more difficult. And so we're going to be going through these 4 points right here: the negatives of getting emotionally attached to something, the advantages of getting addicted to it. At the end, it's just not worth it. And just jump to the next piece of immersion as soon as possible. This is just a overall tip, right? So the first point, the negatives of getting emotionally attached to anime. And so I actually got very addicted to this anime right here, which is Gintama. And I actually love the anime, right? I actually it's my favorite anime. But like, when you get emotionally attached to a piece of immersion and it finishes, it literally ends up being one of the worst type of feelings that you can feel. That, well, yeah, sorry for being redundant there, but like, it's just a very bad feeling whenever that piece of immersion like ends and you like actually like were watching it for like 3 to 4 to 5 months, right? So that's the first thing that is negative about getting emotionally attached to something. You shouldn't I mean, you can get addicted to it. You can get addicted to emotional attached to it. But like at the end, it just ends up being like this very bad feeling. It's like getting emotional attached to, I don't know, a girlfriend, a boyfriend. Like, yeah, at some point you want to get emotional attached to it. But like, if you get too emotional attached, especially to a piece of immersion, which is something that literally doesn't exist, at the end, it just will become really difficult to like get to the next piece of immersion, because you will try to look for the next piece of immersion that is similar to that thing, and at the end you will waste time looking for content instead of just watching content. And so I actually wanted to talk about this topic a lot, because this is something that happened to me a lot when it comes to language learning, which is that literally I ended up looking for the next piece of immersion that was similar to that piece of immersion, and then I literally wasted like 2 to 3 hours on the day just looking for the next piece of immersion. And literally at the end I just said, okay, I'm just going to watch it tomorrow, and then I ended up literally wasting like 4 to 5 hours just because of getting emotional attached to a type of anime, right? Of course, right now it doesn't really happen anymore, but like, I'm pretty sure that it is something that happens a lot and no one talks about this, right? And so that's the negative. You don't want to waste your time. You don't want to literally get emotionally attached to something. Now, there's some advantages actually. this in this actually doesn't. There's some advantages of actually getting addicted to a piece of immersion, right? And so the first advantage is that it actually is super easy. So when I was watching Gintama, it actually was super easy to like watch it for like 8, 6, 9 hours, right? And that's the first advantage that I wanted to talk about, which is that, yeah, if it's kind of like long this year, so I will say that if it's like Gintama or if it's like One Piece, you can kind of like get emotional attached to it. At least it's probably not something that is going to happen anyways, because like you're spending so much of your time in a series, and so it's going to happen anyways. And so make sure that if you're going to end up emotionally attached to it, make sure that it's at least like it has like 300 episodes or like 500 to 1000 episodes, right? Make sure that that happens. And yeah, that's probably the best advantage of literally getting emotional attached to an anime. So literally, you will do it for like 8 hours daily. You will not have any problems in immersion. A study will become really easy. But then when it finishes, if it finishes, you literally are, I don't know, you get kind of like depressed honestly. It's a very similar feeling to being depressed honestly. So yeah, I think that that's honestly the only advantage of like getting addicted to that piece of immersion, right? And so why I say that at the end it's just not worth it, unless basically that, yeah, I basically got say this in advance, unless you get addicted to a piece of immersion which is very long, like One Piece, Bleach, I don't know, Hunter x Hunter is actually very short, I think, or Black Clover, like those. If it doesn't have more than 300 episodes, I don't think that you should actually be getting emotional attached to that piece of immersion, right? So that's probably that's just the thing. Like if it has more than 300 episodes, get emotional attached to it. I think it's way more worth it. But if it has less than that, I think that it's not worth it to get emotional attached. And so also one tip that actually just occurred myself right now is that if you actually want to like not get emotional attached to it, you should not watch the thing for more than 1 hour daily, literally. And so you should be probably watching different type of animes during the day. If you are doing, I don't know, 4 hours of immersion, that's like, I don't know, 3 4 different animes for 1 hour, right? If you actually don't want to get emotional attached to that anime. I know that this seems really like autistic type of advice when it comes to this, but like, believe me, if you get emotional attached to the anime and the anime is really short, you will waste more time. You will waste like, I don't know, 20 to 30 hours of your immersion time during out of the year, or not even out of the year. You will lose that time in just 1 month, right? And so this is for you to actually be productive. And yeah, lots of people will say, okay, but like you're being autistic, like this, how can this work? In reality, if you're not autistic with your mental health, if you're not autistic with your study, you will not get as much progress as the person who is autistic with this, right? And so the last piece of advice that I want to tell you is just jump to the next piece of immersion as soon as possible. So if you start thinking, oh, I just don't want to watch, I just want to watch an anime which is which is really like similar to that one. If you start getting on that rabbit hole of thoughts, on that trail of thoughts a lot, you will notice that, okay, you will waste a lot of time. But like if you just jump to the next piece of immersion as soon as possible, so let's say that I'm watching Gintama and I literally just jumped, it ends up, I don't watch like the credits, I don't watch anything else, and I just jumped to Hunter x Hunter as soon as possible. You will notice that, okay, you don't like mourn in this feeling of like, oh, I just want to watch the same piece of immersion because I just, no, you don't get into that feeling, like you don't, how would you say that, you don't you don't deepen your feeling towards that anime. You just say, okay, like next. Like it's like, I don't know, having a girl and literally you say, okay, well, I don't want this girl now, and you say, okay, well, you jump to the next girl, whatever, right? Very bad metaphor, but like you get the point. You need to jump to the next piece of immersion if you actually want to not get emotionally attached to it. It is as simple as that, especially if the pieces of immersion are very short. So if there are like 12 episodes, 24 episodes, believe me, if you don't want to get emotional attached to it and start wasting your time because you start looking for like animes that are very similar, well, that's the thing that you need to do. Like it finishes, you go to next, and that's why you need to have the next anime prepared already. If you don't have the next anime prepared already, you will literally start looking for animes that are similar to that anime. And so that's it. If you want to know more autistic tips like this, check the first link in the description. I have my free coaching call, and now I also have my course in there, which I do think that if you actually kind of like want to get way more progress, I just put all of the secrets that I have in all of the secrets, basically. All of the things like for your specific case. So for example, right now I have a person who is addicted to video games, and I literally made a specific routine for him, and including of course learning languages, for him to actually get rid of that addiction. Right, so that's it for the video, and I hope that you actually enjoy it. Leave a like, subscribe, all of the things. Bye.